I'm Stuart McIntosh with the BBC News. Hello. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that Russian forces may try to storm the capital Kiev in the coming hours. Addressing the nation, Mr. Zelensky urged people to stand firm, saying the fate of Ukraine was being decided.
Our main objective is to end this carnage. The losses of the enemy are very serious. There are hundreds of dead soldiers who crossed our border, who came to our land. Unfortunately, we have losses too. Ukrainians heroically resist the aggression. It is impossible to justify it. That is why occupants have to invent more and more absurd accusations in order to say something.
Residents of Kiev are spending another night in metro stations and basements to shelter from Russian missile strikes. The Ukrainian military says it shot down a large Russian plane carrying airborne troops south of Kiev. It says heavy fighting has broken out around an airfield where Russian forces are trying to land. Tens of thousands of Ukrainians are crossing into neighbouring countries, Poland, Romania, Hungary and Slovakia, fleeing the war and the advancing Russian troops. Fergal Keane is at a Ukraine-Hungary border crossing.
The people are moving. They're coming to this border crossing from cities, towns, villages across the west and from further afield. People who stand in front of me tonight, most of them exhausted looking, and there's a heavy majority here of women and children. What I see in their faces is just a sense of weariness, because most of them have been travelling now to get here for at least a day, if not more, and a sense of people whose lives have been turned upside down.
The United States has said it's imposing sanctions on President Vladimir Putin, his foreign minister Sergei Lavrov, and freezing EU assets as well. Barbara Petasher reports.
It isn't unprecedented for Western governments to sanction a world leader, but it's rare and especially provocative in this case, because Vladimir Putin is the president of a nuclear power with a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Both Washington and Brussels froze his assets and those of Foreign Minister Lavrov. The US also imposed a travel ban, but the EU did not, in order to keep diplomatic channels open. It's unclear how much of an impact an asset freeze will have on Mr. Putin, as his money is not believed to be held in the United States. But the direct action against the Russian president was seen as a warning that he could become an international pariah if he doesn't end the invasion of Ukraine. Officials in the US and Europe have already imposed severe financial sanctions on Russian banks and state-owned companies, and are considering other measures if Russia escalates its military operation.
This is the World News from the BBC. Russia has vetoed a UN resolution that would have deplored its invasion of Ukraine. India, China and the United Arab Emirates abstained. 11 members voted in favour. At the start of the debate, Russia's ambassador, currently the president of the Security Council, had to read out the list of 60 co-sponsors of the resolution. He insisted Russia was only carrying out an exercise to protect the residents of Donbass. Speaking to reporters after the vote, the UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, was visibly angry.
The United Nations Charter has been challenged in the past, but it has stood firm on the side of peace, security, development, justice, international law and human rights. Time after time, when the international community has rallied together in solidarity, those values have prevailed. They will prevail independently of what happened today. We must do everything in our power so that they prevail in Ukraine, but they prevail for all humanity.
NATO is deploying more troops in Eastern Europe to strengthen its defences. Its Secretary-General, Jens Stoltenberg, said the alliance was deploying elements of its Rapid Response Force for the first time. Some NATO allies have said they'll also continue to send weapons to Ukraine. Germany is sending troops to Slovakia to start building a new NATO battle group there. The spokesman for President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Ukraine is ready to talk about a ceasefire and peace. Sergei Nikiforov wrote on his Facebook page that this had been Ukraine's constant position. Earlier, the Kremlin said it was ready to send a delegation to the Belarusian capital Minsk for talks, but only if Ukraine surrendered. The United States described this offer as diplomacy at the barrel of a gun. BBC News.